Hey babes, it's Sha'Tarra Lene here.
And Jay Reed, and
we've been celibate
since November 28, 2016. And it's been so hard. And we decided to make this video on Sha'Tarra's vlog to just let everybody know our different perspectives, from individually and together.
My perspective on being able to withstand myself until marriage has been extremely hard, difficult, stressful, but rewarding. And let me tell you why. So as a couple, Javier and I, in our early stages, Javier and I, we partied together, we drank together, we did everything that we possibly could do that was not of God's will. We actually decided to make this transition after service. I remember one Sunday afternoon, I went to afternoon service, and I believe my cousin had preached. And he preached about us really giving our all to God. And it was something that really laid dear to my heart, because we were trying to get to a point where we're being spiritual, and we were trying to really do everything that we knew we had to do to get our lives right with God. But we were missing one thing. And we gave up alcohol, we gave up partying, we gave up everything. We gave up everything, but we didn't give up the one thing that we know we needed to do.
And I just feel like, that was so prominent in our relationship, to give up something that really would be a real sacrifice. Like Sha'Tarra said, the small things like drinking and smoking and all of these different things, like we felt as if we were giving those up, but it was because those were the easy things to give up, right? And so we just feel like and we always say losing. We feel like we kept losing in every aspect of life, financially, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. We just feel like we weren't on one accord. And it's because we weren't giving up the one thing that was truly holding us back, and that was sex.
And that was sex. He said that God had spoke to him about sex. And then I went to a service and God had spoke to me. So when I came to him and I told him, babe, this is something I really want to do. I hope that you're down for it. He was down for it. And from that moment on, we gave our lives officially to God.
I remember telling Sha'Tarra, it was the message that resonated with me is when my pastor just said, it was a couple of things. One, when he said, if God was to return, is he welcoming your home? And I was just like, wow, I know what God will probably catch us doing, So that was, but seriously, I mean, I got like emotional, even in church, thinking about, you're like, wow, is God welcome in my house? Like, could he stay with me if he returned, and how many of my ways would I have to, give up or sacrifice in that moment, that were so hard to really give up.
The message that really resonated with me is that going to hell. And when I thought about everything that I have given up and knowing that when this life is over, there is a heaven or hell, and that's where you will rest for eternity. And when I thought about the fact that I'm not living the life that God has intended for me to live, because I'm still fornicating. And that's something in his word that says that, we're supposed to withstand ourselves from sex until marriage.
It's been a tough journey. We have a lot of friends that we have connected with to help make the journey, I won't say simpler, because there's nothing they can do to, especially physically, make it more easier, but we've been able to impact so many people, because of our journey, and really that's the ultimate goal even of this vlog today, is to be able to just tell people that while it is challenging, like Sha'Tarra said, it's not impossible, and it's so rewarding. And so if I could leave you with anything today, it'd be that the journey is rewarding. So, I mean, I guess we can tell about our journeys.
So my particular journey, like I said, we did everything not the way that God wanted us to do it. So because we did everything the Sha'Tarra and Javier's way, we encountered a lot. We put more burden on ourselves because we didn't do anything that God wanted us to do. So of course we have a home together where we still reside in the same bed at night. It's extremely difficult because we've been together for 3 years and we've lived together. And before, if we wanted to have sex, we would. But now that we are withstanding ourselves from, withstanding ourselves, it's difficult because we have to really know that, no, this is not what's going to happen. Don't try to tempt me. If I feel tempted, I go into the other room. I make sure that we don't cross the lines because we've come so far, and we get married in exactly three months, and this is something that people thought.
Oh, we're engaged for everybody.
Oh yeah, we're engaged, guys. We're engaged. We get married May 19th. And it's just difficult because a lot of people didn't think that it was possible for us to do this. So now that we are finally able to, we're finishing off our journey strong, and we cannot get sidetracked at all.
And you know what? This, and Sha'Tarra said, a lot of people couldn't believe we can do it, but we always got to remind ourselves that, this wasn't even about us. This wasn't even about other people. This was about our salvation. This was about our relationship with God and being men and women of God. And, it was so hard calling ourselves men and women of God when we weren't truly living according to his word. So, for me, my journey was different because of how we were raised, and I'll let Sha'Tarra touch on how she was raised. I wasn't brought up in the church. I was brought up by a God-fearing grandmother, but I wasn't raised in the church. So for me, even just building that relationship with God in the church was difficult. And I thank God for Sha'Tarra for that, for just kind of holding me accountable to show up to church every Sunday, and to go to Bible class, and to just, begin to formulate my own relationship with God, my own personal relationship. And that's what I found to be the most important thing, is building my personal relationship with God, because as men, we think we know it all. We supposed to be the leaders, but we can't just live life on with no foundation. And I feel like once I realized God was my foundation, and I kind of had, I would say, like the rules to life, my Bible, man, that's the word. And then you start living by that word, then I was able to be a better man for her. I was able to understand the different things that she required of me as a man. Whereas if I was just living in the world, I wouldn't have understood that. So anyway, my past, I didn't grow up in the church. I was introduced to Sha'Tarra, who I feel like introduced me to Christ. Before that, I've been able to have my own personal relationship with God.
Yeah. And like what Javier said is, I've grown up in the church. So my mom was an evangelist. She is an evangelist. We went to church Sunday, Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, Friday. We were always going to church. So church was my foundation. And of course, when you get older, you think you're grown and you start to shed away from what you know is to be true. So when Javier and I moved together, of course, my mom did not like it. It was something that she was so confused about and frustrated about. Like, why are you doing this? You know better. I don't understand why, what has gotten into you, the whole spiel of a godly mother. And I will say that by me hearing her, I was like, okay, whatever, like, I'm grown, I'm gonna do me, da-da-da-da. Not knowing that I should have listened to her, of course, right? Because this process of us being celibate, it probably could have gone a lot smoother. But because of how we wanted to do things our way, it eventually led to a lot of frustration and a lot of anxiety, I think, too, because it was something that we weren't used to, and it was something that was new to us, and it was something that we were both just trying out because it's something we wanted to do. We felt so passionate about it, but we didn't know that so many emotions were going to come into play. And like what Javier also stated is that he couldn't love me the way that I wanted him to love me because he didn't know about God. It was something that when we started dating, I feel like he was going to church to pacify me, opposed to him now having this relationship with God. And now that he has a relationship with God, it has opened up so many doors for us because he now knows how to love me for me. And not by us not having sex completely, giving our all to God and really not having that lustful mindset, we're able to love each other on a different level, right?
Yeah, and I agree. And you know what? I want to speak on that for just a second. I know that's one thing people who are considering being celibate fear the most is, will we be connected anymore? How will we be without intimacy? And you know what? I think being able to just love her a different way, to being able to just see another side of her, an intelligent side of her, a hustling side of her, to be able to see her spiritual side, which is what I'm most attracted to within her. I think those things were an amazing substitute for just sex. And I say just sex because I'm looking forward to May 19th. But I was able to find so much so many other things that I loved about her that was kind of like blindfolded by sex. You know, in the moments that we would be chilling alone, I wasn't able to talk to her about starting a business. I wasn't able to talk to her about fasting for different things that we want to see manifest. I wasn't able to talk to her about the word. You know, I didn't even care to talk about those things. I was thinking about sex. And, you know, again, like she said, lust will get in the way of your destiny, man. That's my
And
take on it.
also too, when you do have sex, right? And when you do have sex out of wedlock, God told us not to do it for a reason, because it puts on, like, if I have on glasses, I only can see so much, but when the glasses come off, I'm able to see who is really presented in front of me. I get to see them from head to toe, things that I don't like, things that I do like, things that I wish he probably wouldn't have done, things I wish, he can change. But those things are blindsided once sex is involved, because as a woman, we are naturally emotional women, and sex only adds to that emotion. So by not having that physical lustation, is that a word?
I don't think so. But it flows so good.
By having, like,
lustation, listen, the lustation was just I was staring at her eyes, and the lustation just captivated me so much. Go ahead. They use lustation. Started off with lustation.
Okay.
You in too deep now.
I know, right? But not, I didn't say lust. But not having that lust come in between you two is totally different. I get to know him on a physical standpoint that I probably never would have known. A spiritual, his mentality is totally different. The way that we argue is totally different now, opposed to when we used to argue back in the day. It's just, you learn so much about this person because sex is not clouding your judgment.
And you know what? I want to speak to an earlier thought. Sha'Tarra said her mom, is an evangelist. She was raised in the church. And so that was difficult for the both of us, because I kind of feel like, man, because of me, she, breaking this relationship, this bond she got with her mom, and the respect ultimately that she has for her mom. And so that was another thing where I was like, man, I can't continue to be the one pulling her away from God, because I was always a God-fearing man as well. I just wasn't a church-going man. And I want to say God is so amazing how he will turn things around, because once I decided to give my life to Christ, her mom was the most supportive person in my journey. Me and her mom, we would talk to each other in the morning. This when we were sharing a car, and I would be dropping her off to work, and her mom would call us in the morning, and we would share Bible scriptures. And I remember thinking, like, man, this is just so amazing how God can change things around, because I don't know, in the beginning, I don't know how her mom felt about me, this guy that's living with her daughter and that's not really coming to church and, pulling her away from what she has known her entire life. I don't know. But I was just so amazing that her mom, was a true representation of what it means to be a woman of God, and that when I was able to return, that she was there with open arms. So I just appreciate that.
If I were to basically give anybody any advice, it's just, I would say, really to keep going. If this is something that you desire, this is something that you want to do it. Don't let any man change your mind about something that you are set on. I do know, like, far as, like, someone asked us, were you scared that he was going to cheat on you? And honestly, at that point in time, how serious and focused I was about God, it didn't matter to me, because if he did that, we wouldn't have been together, of course. But it would have been great, because God would have shown me, I'm going to reward you for your faithfulness. I'm going to give you someone else who appreciates you and who really loves you for you. And I think that's what some women sometimes get confused, because they're like, oh, I don't want my boyfriend to cheat on me, or I don't want him to, do this because I'm not doing that. But at the end of the day, if this guy loves you and he wants to be with you, he's going to make any sacrifice he possibly can to make sure that, you are happy.
And you know what, fellas? I completely agree with that. Speaking from a man's perspective, I wasn't perfect. I wasn't perfect leading up until our relationship. With past relationships, I never made the sacrifices that I made for Sha'Tarra in past relationships. And the reason being, she held me accountable and she demanded more out of me. But not only that, because I'm pretty sure other women would have loved to have the Javier I believe that I am today. But what she did was, I loved her so much. I loved her so much, to her point. I loved her enough where I wanted to change. And I'm speaking to the women now. If a man loves you enough, you don't have to lower your standards. If a man loves you enough, then he's gonna meet every expectation. And it might be some of them that he struggles a little bit more than others. But every time you nag, every time you holler, every time you send a long thread that he just gotta read for 3 minutes, he reads it, it resonates with him because he loves you and you are who he wants to be with. So don't lower your standards for any man. If anything, you raise your standards because of your relationship with God. The closer I got to God, the more my standards raised, right? The closer she got to God, the more her standards raised. And I seen that. I had to, I got to step it up if I want to keep Sha'Tarra. And, I think we both had a lot of growing pains. I think that we still growing. I think that it's still a battle. I think the closer we get to May, the more the devil is trying to step in. But hey, listen, you can't stop this show.
No. And I do think, like, along with Javier said, ladies, really, sometimes we don't know the power that we possess as women. We hold so much power. We can make a guy do anything that we want them to do. It's the truth. We can make a man do anything that we want them to do. We can. And just because they say, what they're going to do, or, I'm done, they're the one that's going to be hurt. They're the one that's going to be coming to you. And if you want this, and I'm telling you, if a man is really, 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 really in love with you and really wants to make you his wife and really wants you to be the mother of his children, he will sacrifice his wants for your needs. And that is to be true. And I've seen it over and over and over again, and I'm experiencing it.
I truly believe, and I think Sha'Tarra, we spoke about this before, so I can say this. These last 2 years have been the best years of both of our lives. And I say that financially, most definitely spiritually. I think that people can see a different side of us spiritually and see, our lights are most definitely shining. Emotionally, I think both of us are a lot better. Like Sha'Tarra said, when we argue, we're a lot better with our emotions and just being able to control those and talk to each other with a little bit more sense, when we get into it. And we still disagree. I don't want you to be confused and thinking that things get perfect. But what I do want you to understand is that God is a man of his word. God said that we the head and not the tail. And sometimes you got to call God on his word because God's hand is unchanging. So sometimes you got to say, God, you said I'm the head and not the tail. And God gonna say, I sure did. I sure did. So, but you got, listen, how does the saying go, babe, about faith without works is dead. Yes. Right? So yes. God, listen, if we doing our part, which I feel as if we are, and we still got a lot more work to do, we doing our part, God gonna do his part.
When you have a goal, whatever your goal may be, this was our goal, to remain celibate into our marriage. Once you have that goal and you're serious and your mindset is stayed on it, there's no distractions. There's no detours. There's gonna be bumps in the road, yeah. But you are so focused. You're so focused not to go back to your old ways. You're so focused to see what God has in store for you. You're so focused to see how your marriage will just manifest. You're so focused to see everything that you two can come up with each other, the greatness that you guys can build together. You're so focused. One night of a lustful act should not justify where you guys are going in life. In closing, if this is something that you really want to do and it's something that you feel most powerful about and you really want to change your life and you really want to make a stand and you really want to live your life according to God's will, do it. Try it. Give your concerns unto God and just allow him to just do everything else. You just be obedient to his word and just see how he blesses you and just watch how things will change for your good. You have anything else to say?
I love my wife. Oh, wait, she ain't my wife yet. Let me kidding. All right, I'm Jay Reed.
And I'm Sha'Tarra Lene. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And if you guys have any questions or concerns, please put them in the drop box below. The email address is labeled as well. And follow us on social media. You want to give your social media handle?
I'm Jay Reed. That's without an A. So IMSOJREED on Instagram.
And I'm Sha'Tarra Lene. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Peace.